Over to you.
All right. So, Radha Radha, everyone. So, today we are going to do the chapter 6, Dhyan Yog, verse 6.21. So, before that, let's do the invocation. All right. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. All right. So, just a brief recap of the all the verses that we have covered till now, which is still 6.20. So we have learned from six like that we have learned that there is truly no difference between a yogi and a sannyasi, because a yogi actually will perform all his duties, which is worldly duties, without attachment to the result. And similarly, a sannyasi also will perform whatever he does. He is actually working as a instrument of God. He will be performing all the godly activities, and he's also truly renowned. He's truly a sannyasi if he has no kama, krodha, lobha, moha, nothing, no attachments, no distractions. So like that. Then we understood that. In from 6.3 to 9, that through self discipline we can control our distractions, we can make our mind our friend, and by which we are actually, it leads to inner peace, equal vision towards all beings. And then with that mind we can proceed, we can start the process of meditation. So before that we have to probably do the karma yoga, where we are working a little bit karma yoga, where we are working with some selfish motive and as well as selfless, till it leads to proper selfless actions where we are not interested in the result. So then that is where we can say that okay, our mind is in our control and we can do the meditation. So once we start doing meditation, it should be practiced in solitary situations, and the mind should be steady. There should not be any external distractions. So that's what we learned in from 10 and 12 verses. Then from 13 to 16 we learned that in order to become successful in the meditation, the process itself, we have to practice moderation in everything. So moderation in all aspects of life, then which will further increase our meditation. And then the mind becomes completely still, like a lamp in a windless place. And at that stage, the meditator, if he is a dhyan yogi, he will actually, his the ego will merge. So the meditator with the meditation, the merging of meditator with the meditation, he will not have any sense of what he is doing. That kind of a meditative concentration he goes into. And for a bhakti yogi, he will always have a deity, and he will be very he or she, they will be knowing that they are doing the meditation itself. So then we learned about that dhyana. So there is ashtang yoga, there are 8 limbs. So where in that the dhyana is coming between dharana and samadhi. And we learned that uh, in that state of samadhi, the self awareness for the nirvikalpa and savikalpa. So nirvikalpa, there the self awareness will dissolve. Savikalpa will, it will be still, it will be there. Then the realization attained in this state leads to unshakable inner peace and self contentment, which we discussed in chapter 6.20. And then we are going to discuss. I just wanted to bring some points that we discussed in the previous class, where there is a meditator in the dhyana process of meditation. There is a meditator that I'm meditating. There's a process of meditation, which is chanting or looking at an image, or we discussed different types of meditation also in the previous session. then the object of meditation, which is the the deity or mantra, and process means the act of meditation itself. So that is known as Triputi. So then we learned about the Savikalpa Samadhi and Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So what is the difference? Here in the Savikalpa Samadhi, the person is actually imagining and the person is very much there. Nirvikalpa, the person is not there. So there is the ego is kind of dissolved. And then we learned about when that samadhi, the savikalpa and nirvikalpa samadhi, when we go into the deeper states, we reach savikalpa becomes sabija and nirvikalpa becomes nirbija. So what is the difference between this? Sabija is there are still some level of ego remaining. What remains is probably some very latent desires. So in order to fulfill that, we naturally get a lot of some powers like mind reading, clairvoyance, supernatural powers, etc. And in the form of siddhis. And here the person actually experiences God also. They can like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa saying Goddess Kali. So Nirbija Samadhi means the person will actually will not have any. He actually becomes the object of meditation. So he becomes Bhagwan, whichever God he is. So there is no difference. That is what happens in the Nirbija Samadhi. So now let's do the the shloka, which is 6.21. Sukhamatyantikam yat tadabuddhigraha. Actually, I didn't practice. Okay, let me. Sukham atyantikam yatat buddhigrahyam atindriyam veti yatra na chaivayam stitash chalati tattvataha. Thank you. Radhe Radhe. Anyone else? Yes, Sandhya.
Radhe Radhe. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrayam atindriyam veti yatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tattvataha.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Shri Ramya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Sukham atyantikam yattat buddhigrahyam atindriyam vitti yatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tattvataha. Thank you.
Thank you, Shramya ji. So I think no one else is there. So let's go to the next section. So in the previous class, we also so the second portion, which is then the yogi, once they go into that state of samadhi, when the mind restrained from material activities becomes still by the practice of yoga, the yogi is able to behold the soul. So that is that is what I said in the savikalpa, nirvikalpa, sabija, and nirbija. So soul means it can be, you can consider as a god or you can consider yourself as God. So both is experienced. So in that state, through the purified mind, he rejoices in the inner joy. So there are various types of joy that the person in samadhi experiences. And there is a sequence. So I will mention it as it just goes. So first comes the Vishyananda, which we get from the external sensory world, followed by Bhajanananda, which we get when we do bhajan and kirtan. Then we get something called Premananda, which we experience because of the love that we have. So in the Bhajanananda, there may not be that bhav may be there or may not be there, and the bhav may not be related to the love, which is more into the Madhurya bhav and the Vatsalya bhav. It can be Shant bhav and Dasya bhav and the Sakha bhav. So um, so that is what is all of them mixed together can come under the category of Bhajanananda, but the Premananda will be more about the love for God. In that maybe the Sakha and the Vatsalya and the Madhurya. And then after that, I found that there is another joy called Shantananda, which is one step. I cannot say whether beyond, or that depends on what kind of, whether you are going for a Nirvikalpa Samadhi or Savikalpa Samadhi. That is where it is. So there is something, something called Shantananda. And after Shantananda, there is something called Brahmananda. So that is the sequence I'm going to follow here also. So we know that what is Vishyananda. So basically we are Anu Satchitanand. So we have the all the bliss and all the the joy, the happiness that we need to feel. It is intrinsically our quality, but because of our conditioning, we constantly get attached or attracted to those things that we like, and where we experience, the mind experiences a sense of not having that, and because of that, the mind actually leaving the already happy state, it becomes sad, and it craves for that material thing. And when it achieves it, it again comes back to that same natural state of joy. And we feel that that happiness has come from the object, material object, but which is not true. So that is what Vishyananda is basically showing, which is joy from sense objects. And the problem is every time it never gets satiated, because every time we see someone has more cars, someone has more house, someone has more money. We want that. When we reach there, again we see someone else, and it never gets satiated, right? So that is what Vishyananda, the problem with Vishyananda, which is always going to be temporary, because we're not understanding that the joys are intrinsic nature. And this is actually distraction. The senses are always distracting and making our mind very unsteady. So next, Bhajanananda, we discussed it. That is, a wise person realizes that joy is internal and begins to renounce worldly desires, and he actually becomes happy. It's not like, I don't want this, I don't, it's not like that. Whatever comes on its own accord, according to my karma, Bhagwan is giving, okay, I'm fine with it. So that is the kind of joy, and not going behind things, your sensory things will still come. But that person who understands this concept will not run behind and purposely make our mind go into that state where it is not happy. So instead of running after sense pleasure, they calm the mind through devotion, prayer, meditation, and selfless service. So when we do that, um that fluctuation is not anymore. And the for a sustained period, a mind remains joyful. So the less attached the mind is, the more it reflects the bliss of the self. So we naturally will have more happiness compared to the happiness that we get from the Vishayananda. So this leads to deeper fulfillment in spiritual practices like kirtan, meditation, and samadhi. So that we have discussed. Now comes Premananda. So the bliss of the divine love. So the highest bliss experienced in bhakti, devotion, where the devotee is immersed in divine love for the Ishtadevta, or whoever is the chosen deity. And it is intense, deeply emotional, and overflowing with divine sweetness. The devotee experiences ecstatic joy, longing, and union with the divine. And dependency is, it depends on devotion and duality, because if you don't feel your God around you, you will feel that down feeling. And if and you will miss and cry, all of that will happen. But when then again, you will experience God, and then again you become happy. So, and when that happens, the joy is extremely more than that you can experience in the Bhajanananda or Vishananda. But it will always depend on an external form, you can say. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha's love for Krishna, and the gopis of Vrindavan who experience Premananda as an overwhelming flood of divine ecstasy. So that is Premananda. So now let's discuss where does this manifest. So Premananda actually manifests in Sarvikalpa Samadhi. So in Sarvikalpa Samadhi, the yogi is deeply absorbed in meditation. See, what is meditation is basically we are constantly thinking about someone or something. We cannot get rid of that object that we are thinking. And in the worldly sense, what we can say is, suppose we fall in love with someone and we cannot get that person out of our mind, how that person will feel. That is dhyana, and it need not be a person, it can be an object, it can be something that you've attached your mind to. So whenever a mind is constantly flowing in one object of meditation, that is samadhi, because we are not able to get it out of our mind, then we are actually in samadhi. So in the Sarvikalpa Samadhi, the yogi is deeply absorbed in meditation while maintaining awareness of the divine form, name, or presence. Now, this state allows for intense experiences of divine love, which is called Premananda, where the meditator feels an intimate connection with the beloved deity. So, it's not just that the experience is one-sided. It um, it manifests and the experience becomes the two-sided. Like Mirabai experiencing Krishna. Radha, in Radha's case, Krishna was in front of her, but in Mirabai's case, it was not always in front of her, Krishna. Next is love and duality still exist. So that ego, that you are the meditator, someone is experiencing the samadhi, that person is always there. And the object is separate. So the love and duality still exist. Since Vikalpa Samadhi retains some level of conceptual distinction between the devotee and the divine, it is ideal state for experiencing Premananda, a profound sweet bliss arising from a loving relationship with the divine. So there is always a duality that exists, and it is always a part of Vikalpa Samadhi. Now, example is, see, Mirabai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. They are often seen in being in Savikalpa Samadhi, and they experience overwhelming waves of divine love. And while still recognizing Krishna or the divine as their object of devotion, it is not the state where you become Krishna. It is always you are separate from Krishna. So why I'm saying you become Krishna? Because that is the state of Brahmananda. Next is higher than sensory bliss. Obviously, it is more. So Premananda is beyond Vishyananda and beyond mere meditative peace, which is Shantananda. So I'll also explain that. So it is, you can say that Premananda and Shantananda is actually on the same platter, because Premananda is coming from Savikalpa Samadhi and Shantananda is coming from, Nirvikalpa. So before the Brahmananda comes, in the Nirvikalpa stage, Shantananda comes. So I will tell you what it is. It is a
Uh,
divine.
Patushali, I have some
Yes.
question.
Yes.
First of all, I think in Premananda, are we saying that it depends upon external? Like, did you
An object of meditation, like we depend on Krishna, like that.
right? I mean, but that's not a material object.
No, it
That's
is not. It is not. It is not. It is like, it's a vikalpa. So vikalpa is a mental image or something who is beyond you, beyond that I-ness. It's not a part of me, but I love that
I
person. Or
am a part of it, rather, I would say.
yeah. In
Okay.
any way, but I am separate. So like that.
Yeah, okay. And another point was this, like you said that kind of Shantananda and Premananda are at the same platform but different categories, because one is cervical, one is nirvikal. But in terms of sweetness, Can anyone
No, no,
be
no.
Premananda?
Sweetness is different. I'm
No,
just
I'm
saying
just
in
asking.
terms of that categorization. So it is
Yeah,
there
yeah.
comparison, but it is just like, for a person who is practicing Aham Brahmasmi, that Dhyan Yogi, for that person, he will not have the experience of Premananda. Instead, that person will be having the experience of Shantananda in that terms.
But in terms of sweetness, it is Premanand, which is the highest, right?
Um, you can say that. I mean, it's again, it is actually, frankly, for a devotee, for a bhakti yogi, it is highest. But it is like becoming laddu and all, right? So I'll tell you why. When I finish the Brahmananda, you will understand why I say that. There is no something is higher or lower. It is just, if you become Krishna, you will, if I ask you which is um higher. So if you want to experience love, you will create Radha, and yes, Premananda for you is. But then within you, are you not happy? Within you, you are happy as Krishna, right? So will Krishna experience a lack? So that is where that question comes. Is Brahmananda better or Premananda better? So Premananda will always be more blissful, but is being Krishna in himself not a happy experience, is what it is. Something to think about, right? So, okay. So, all right. So, higher. So, this Premananda we've discussed. Okay, let's go next. What is Shantananda? Okay. So, Shantananda is the Ananda that arises from inner peace and tranquility. It is experienced when the mind becomes completely calm, still, and free from disturbances. Unlike Premananda, which is emotional and rational, Shantananda is neutral, serene, and undisturbed. So bliss of deep peace. Shantananda is the joy that comes from fully tranquil mind, free from desires, agitation, and external disturbances. So here that yogi is doing all kinds of ashtang and everything, and is completely controlling and is bringing himself into that stage where he is completely he has full control. That tortoise example, right? So anything comes, they will pull their limb inside and they are happy within. So that is the state is the of the Shantananda, and it is present in meditation and samadhi. This bliss is commonly experienced in deep meditation, dhyana, or savikalpa samadhi. So, which is coming in not near in deep meditation or savikalpa samadhi when the mind is absorbed in stillness. So, it is probably before the premananda for a person who is going for savikalpa, and for a person who is going for nirvikalpa, he will not experience premananda. He will be coming into this stage only, and from here he will go into brahmananda. So not emotionally driven, that is we've discussed. Then it is higher than sensory pleasure. It is self-sustaining and independent of external factors. The mind remains content, needing nothing from the world. So that is the stage, Shantananda stage, and it is closer to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So Nirvikalpa Samadhi, it deepens into formless infinite peace, where the ego and all mental fluctuations dissolve completely. So see, when Nitin sir was explaining us about the Brahmananda, we've always learned that it is like a straight, graph, and there is no increase. Whereas the Premananda, the bliss increases. That's what we have seen, and uh, he has taught us like that. Um, but when I
Like,
have,
just one thing. Like, I feel bliss might, I don't know if we can quantify the extent of bliss or we can say higher or lower, but sweetness, definitely I remember it was being discussed that it is highest in
correct, correct.
Premananda. It's
Yes,
love,
correct.
like even Radha Krishna, sweetness, right? That way.
Yes. So, what I see in my research is basically the the bliss is infinite when it comes to Brahmananda, and there is, and it is always constant. You're always experiencing infinite bliss. And in the Premananda, there is a, it goes into that, comes down, goes up, comes down, but it is increasing. So, and Brahmananda is constantly infinite. So that is how I have, in different Upanishads and all I've found. So next is, I didn't explain the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So in the previous lecture, I've explained about the Savikalpa, right? So Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there are different types. Savichara Samadhi, which is thought-free absorption in subtle realms beyond logical inquiry. The intellect is still present, but purely intuitive. They are subtle concepts, formless divine principles or pure consciousness. That is where they are focusing on, and it will be always an abstract thing, so that your mind is not attached to one thing. So and then the person actually loses that sense of I-ness, because he's thinking about almost everything. And a yogi deeply contemplating infinite space or universal truth without mental chatter. So that is, you go into that, it is almost like a deep sleep state beyond dream state. Next is Sananda Samadhi, this deep blissful realization where even subtle thought disappears, leaving only joy, the bliss of the self or divine ecstasy. A saint experiencing pure bliss detached from the body and senses. So now he is beyond the body and senses. He actually goes within. So in that state, he can experience his body and mind separate from him. So it is not he's going to come out of the body, it is not that he's within the body, but he is separate from body and mind. So there is not even there is subtle thought there. He will experience himself as separate. So that is called Sananda Samadhi. Then Sa Asmita Samadhi, that is awareness of pure existence, but without attachment to individuality. Only the sense of I am remains without form or emotion. This is also another deeper state of the Sananda Samadhi. So here, the yogi is resting in absolute self-awareness with no identification with body or ego. So here the person actually is detached from the body and senses, but he still exists in the body, knowing that, yeah, I'm there, but I'm not the body and I'm the mind. But here, he's not even in his body. I mean, he's actually kind of um, experiencing everything together, you can say. And then everything and everyone. Then there is Dharma Megha Samadhi, which is the supreme state where even bliss is transcended. The yogi experiences pure truth, raining like cloud, dissolving all karmic impressions. So there will not be any seed or anything. So here, truth itself, Sat, beyond bliss or duality, a fully liberated master who has transcended even the subtlest traces of ego and experience. That person is actually, which is Brahman realization, which is the Narayana realization that we have talked about in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is what a person feels when he is here in this Dharma Megha Samadhi, where, there is absolutely no identifications, and he is everything. He is the stillness and activity together. So that is the state where, but he's still in samadhi. The best part is sahaja samadhi, which is the effortless realization where the enlightened state continues in daily life. The distinction between meditation and activity disappears. So here, the person is always in samadhi. There is no mind, no intellect, everything is pure intelligence. And that person is enlightened. He doesn't have to do anything to go into samadhi. He is Brahman, he is Krishna, he is Shiva, or whatever forms he or she is that. So that unbroken awareness of Brahman in all states with a body alive. So when you leave the body, you are that Krishna, or you are whatever you thought you are. So a Jivan Mukta, liberated being who sees God with eyes closed and with eyes open, living naturally in self-realization, that is known as Sahaja Samadhi. One second. Next is why Premananda is absent in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So, because there is dissolution of duality. So, we understood, right? They are how they experience themselves as God. So, in that stage, they have no duality. So, in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, there is no distinction between meditator and meditation and object of meditation, and the sense of individual self that I am the Jiva, I am small, I am Manu, Chitta, and all everything goes away, leaving only pure infinite awareness, which is Brahman. Since Premananda requires a relationship, devotee, and the divine, it cannot exist in this state because you become that divine. Since Premananda requires, beyond experience and emotion, Premananda is a form of divine bliss that arises from love and devotion, which still involves a subject, that is a devotee, and an object, which is divine. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, all experiences ceases, and including the experience of divine love, because everything is actually emanating from you. If there is a hate, it is coming from you. If there is a love, that is coming from you. If it is anger, it is you. All everything is you. You are not limited to any one particular feeling. You are not looking or trying to experience something. You are that. You are everything. So in that state of absolute stillness, um in this highest state, which is a state of absolute stillness. So because only if you become that, we say now there is a um, screen and the activity. So basically, it is not that you become the screen. You are also the activity, and you are also the screen. So you are also the emotions. You are also the person on which the emotions is happening. So only when you become everything, you can experience everything, right? So in that state, and only in that absolute stillness, you can experience everyone as yourself. So in that highest non-dual state, even the awareness of the bliss itself dissolves. So there is not no awareness of bliss. You become the bliss. What remains is pure Sat Chit Anand, not as an experience, but as one's very own nature. So that is what why Premananda becomes absent in Nirvikal, because Premananda just becomes another experience within you. You are not only Premananda, you are everything. Then now comes Brahmananda. So Brahmananda still depends on the mind, but Bhajanananda depends on the mind, but Brahmananda transcends the mind entirely. So you are beyond everything that is material in nature. So we know that if you have seen in Bhagavatam, we say that there is a form, and then there is formless within him. So that form and formless together is Brahman. It is not Brahman means formless. Brahman is form and formless together. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, Arjuna asks to Krishna, whom should I pray? Should I pray to the form or the formless? So he says, it's impossible for you to put your mind on one thing. It is difficult. It's not impossible. It is very difficult. So you start with the form. That's what Krishna says. So similarly, in the Brahmananda, there's a bliss of the self. When you actually become who you are, here the joy is no longer a reflection, but the very nature of the self. It does not come and go. It decrease or increase. It is just pure existence, pure Satchidanand, pure bliss. And it is the source of all joy. It is the source of all misery. It is the source of everything. A realized person does not seek joy externally or even in spiritual experiences, because they know themselves to be infinite, unchanging bliss. An example is a person looking in a mirror constantly to see their face is unnecessary. They already have a face. Similarly, seeking joy through objects or experiences is pointless. When one experiences or realizes the joy is their own very nature. So that is what is Brahmananda. Now, a little bit on Sahaja Samadhi. In the state of Sahaja Samadhi, um, the which is a spontaneous and natural enlightenment, you are the Brahman. You can say the body is also divine, and there is nothing inside. That is, there is no mind, there is no intellect, there is no ego, nothing. You are actually a representation of that Bhagwan, or you are that. So in that stage, the Sahaja Samadhi is the state of spontaneous and natural enlightenment that transcends even the blissful experiences of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. There is no you are the source of siddhis. You think and it will happen. You don't have to have any siddhi. You it is like that. So it embodies the enlightened state in everyday life, where one remains in constant union with divine. So what is the state of union? Because you still have a body, that means you still have that, yog maya with you, and you still have the formless aspect also, which is the pure Satchidanand. So, where one remains in constant union with divine, regardless of the external circumstances, and you know that you are this. So, everything becomes a play for you at that point of time. Even the worst situations happening in yours or others, you know that this is not true. So, it is not you are mocking anybody or anything. It is just that you know that it is a play. So, in Sahaja Samadhi, the enlightened being moves through the world with grace and ease, fully engaged in the play of life, which is Leela, yet untouched by its dualities and turmoil. This state represents the culmination of spiritual journey, where enlightenment is not as an isolated experience reserved for meditation cushions, but a continuous living reality. Sahaj Samadhi is ultimate expression of spiritual freedom, characterized by a profound inner joy and joy that permeates every aspect of one's being. So if you ask, which is Premananda is better, or having God with you is better, or being a God is better, I don't know. Really. So it is just how you but what I have heard and understand is every duality, ultimately it is coming from that oneness. So it sooner or later it will culminate into that. So how long it will take for a person to realize all of that, we don't know. And if duality, being in duality is forever, or being in Brahman realization is forever. And if after Brahman realization, you cannot exist as an independent entity, whether that is true or not is also, I don't know, because we know that there are gods, right? We know that there are gods. So how can we say that God merges and he's not any more there? So we don't know. So it is something we have to experience. So next key teachings of this verse is supreme bliss is beyond the senses. So and it is not sensory pleasure, but the bliss of the self. It is beyond sense perceptions, atindriyam, and can be realized through purified intellect. So in all of this, we have to constantly um pour this knowledge, uh, to saturate our intellect with this knowledge alone, so that it cleans the material imperfections and all the impurities, and makes us realize either whichever Anand, whichever Sagun or Nirgun, who we are, or our relationship. And that is what matters. So, self realization as the highest attainment, this bliss is directly known in deep meditation and becomes unshakable. In the 6.21, upon realization, a yogi established in this state never wavers from the truth of their nature. So, this verse um, so you can say that it can be God realization also, where self realization and God realization is really not different. You can say God realization, you can say that you are experiencing God as an external thing, or self realization means you are experiencing God as yourself, but both are not in any way different. So a yogi established in this state will never waver from the truth of their nature. And initially this realization is grasped in deep samadhi, but then later it becomes effortless in life. And that state is known as Jivan Mukti, where one sees Brahman in all experiences. So, yeah, that brings an end to the slides. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So, yeah. Any questions? Yes, Sri Ramaji.
Rare, rare, Pratyushati. Thank you so much for all the insights. There was so much information and knowledge, and I was processing. And I don't have any questions, but I wanted to share something which I had heard also. Like when you were talking of this aspect of uh, the duality or the non-duality, how we see as we are different from God, or how we see whether we are same. It reminded me of one reading. So it says, which where the author said that, the fingers of your palm. So he said, are your fingers different or same, or are they different from the palm or the same from the palm? They're extensions of the palm, like you could, but yet the fingers are different. So he could say that that's how we individuals are. We are the extension of the same supreme soul, and we are all connected, just like how all the fingers are connected to the palm, and the finger itself is connected to the palm. Same, we are all interconnected to each other, and we are connected to the one, to the true nature, to God also. So it helped me get more perspective. I just thought of sharing it here. That's it.
Thank you, Shiramya ji. Yeah, I mean, it's like that. You know, if you remove the drop from the water and ask the drop, "What are you?" So will the drop say, "I'm a drop," or will it say, "I'm the water"? Right?
Yeah, yeah, true.
Yeah. So
Wonderful. So thank you. And should I move on to the Bhakcharit?
yes, I think I gave you enough time.
It's always relevant, right? Because I could see, like, at least the person we are going to learn from today has transformed from being a Vishyanand to Premanand without even planning for it. It was sheer grace of Krishna that came through a particular route, which we will learn about.
I'm totally looking forward to it.
Okay. Yeah. So we are going to learn about. Do you hear any sound?
No, little bit, but okay.
I guess my. Just a minute. Let me. Yeah, now it's fine. Sorry, my phone was ringing and my laptop was connected, so it was just disturbing me. Okay, so yeah, we are going to learn about Govardhan, but not Govardhan Parvat. This is a robber named Govardhan, and this robber was an ordinary robber before he decided to rob Lord Krishna. So we are going to learn about how this thief or robber ended up chasing Lord Krishna. So there was this thief whose name was Govardhan. And what happened? So he was running away from the royal officials, the police officers at that time. They were trying to chase him, and he ended up entering a satsang. So again, coming back to the importance of just attending satsang. Like for example, today personally I couldn't follow everything. It was like my mind doesn't allow me to focus too much when it gets information, but it's so much to learn, scholarly presentation. So but even sitting there, how beneficial it can be, we will understand, right? So this particular thief ended up hiding in a satsang place. And the police officers thought that, okay, this thief will not go and sit in a discourse. So they did not look for him inside that discourse. And that way, he ended up escaping the police officers. And because he was sitting there, he heard about Shri Krishna. But what he heard, that Shri Krishna was a boy, a 7 or 8 year old boy who had lot of golden ornaments adoring him, and he would just casually graze cows with all those ornaments upon him, and he's like just a 7 8 year old boy. Now a thief being thief, his mind became active. Okay, he can actually go get all the gold from this little boy who is just grazing the cow, so it's very easy, right? So he started making his plan. Okay, now I need to go and get this boy as my next target. So he actually approached the saint who was giving the discourse, and he goes and asks him, where can I find that boy? So he says, he belongs to Vrindavan, Mathura, and his father's name is Nand Baba. Thief is like, I don't want that kind of a, detail. I want exact address. I want to go and rob him. So he was like, who are you talking about robbing? He's the thief of the thieves. You can't rob him like that, okay? He's fearless. Even though he's a kid, he can't be robbed like that. So he said, what do you think about me? I am a big robber. I have robbed so many people. Nobody can be not fearful of me. And now I take a pledge. Unless I rob that guy, I will not even drink water. So look at this. This is the determination, right? And he is believing the words of saint. That is another aspect. So the saint thought to himself that this theme's redemption was certain because Lord Krishna is so kind and generous that if anyone goes to him, even with the intent to rob him, he becomes easily pleased with them. The thief asked, so the whole point is about believing, right? That is what he has done, faith. So, okay, so he was like, he was asking exact location. So the saint called the thief back and said, listen, he is very fearless. If he is not scared by your strength, then take some butter and sugar with you. That might please him. He won't be intimidated by your fearsome appearance and strength. So thief, like as a backup, took the butter and sugar, though he was very confident about his capacity to intimidate. So he walked. So he was so determined that he did not drink anything, he did not eat anything, and he walked all the way to Vrindavan looking for Krishna. And on the way, he actually asked many people, many cowherd boys, that, where is this boy named Krishna, and describing his ornaments as well. But everybody said, what are you talking about? This is an ancient story. This is Krishna is no more, in existence right now. And so nobody made him feel that, Krishna is a real character. But for very long, he ended up being persistent that no, I have heard it from the saint. This has to be true. You just tell me his address. But towards the end of it, he started becoming dejected that, why is everybody saying no, that he doesn't exist? The saint said that he does. And that's when he was almost dejected after trying so hard, Krishna being Krishna, decided to appear. So that's what it is written here. How can it be when someone calls Krishna and being in Vrindavan, how can Krishna not manifest, right? So suddenly the scene changed. It became a beautiful setting of, the Krishna-based Vrindavan, where it was a very beautiful land and um, all the cows, uh, cowherds were grazing the cows, and then there came this charming child, 7 to 8 year old, who was Krishna, and who was also adorned with all the gold ornaments which the thief was looking for. So when the thief came near, he said to Krishna, "Take off all your ornaments and give them to me." So Krishna smiled and said, the ornaments are mine. Why should I give them to you? And the thief proudly says, when people hear my name, even the bravest tremble. Do you know who am I? I do not know you. What is your name? And then he says, my name is Govardhan. And then Krishna comes back and says that, you are just Govardhan, but I have lifted the Govardhan mountain. So think about me. Why will I be fearful of you? And so basically, this guy realized that, okay, literally, uh, this 7 to 8 year old boy is fearless and he won't be, he can't be scared. So now he had a backup, right, which was given by the saint, the butter and the sugar. And how can that not melt Krishna, right? So after doing all his efforts, he gave that butter and sugar to Krishna. And Krishna happily accepted that. And he said, you also take a little bit of butter as prasad of Krishna. And as soon as this thief ingested that prasad, his consciousness changed. And he was no more desiring, he was no more Vishyanandi, he became a Premanandi. So he was no more desiring any of the ornaments. because all his impurities were removed and wickedness inside him vanished. So tears began to flow from his eyes, and he just became a Premanandi in my, like, just shortening this, right? So finally, just the conclusion. That thief had only heard a saint's words that there was a boy named Krishna, and he set off to find him. Stopped eating, stopped, like that was his main goal, right? This reminded me of Bhakt Prahlad also, or Bhakt Dhruv also. Like they were like hardly 4 5 year old kids, right? They just know that this is what they need to achieve. Now this is focus, goal, right? Forget about everything else, and they were just chasing it. So he would basically that he would not drink water, and so when we truly desire to find the Lord, he will immediately appear before us. We think we are knowledgeable, we are wise, and we know what we should not do, but due to lack of devotion, we fail to implement it in our lives. So basically, this is from Premanandji's organization, right? All these texts I get from there. So it's talking about Nam, the power of Nam. So that is something that we have in Kalyu. So if we keep on with full focus, with full dedication, try ki our none of our breath should get wasted. We should really feel that way. That's my aim. Very far from it, but at least wanting that none of the breath should get wasted without having the remembrance of the names, forms, pastimes of the Lord. Eventually, we will also be able to offer that butter and sugar to Krishna, right? So with that, yeah, it comes to the end of this story, little story, but it was very nice and cute for me. So I thought we could discuss this. So I'll stop sharing. And as promised, I'll share it in the WhatsApp group as always. So we all can read it from the source as well. Oh,
Thank
we have like 6 minutes left.
Yeah.
That's great. That's an achievement. uh, okay. Anything?
Uh, yeah, actually, no, I thank you, Sandhya, for that beautiful. We just go into that land. Don't know about all these anandas, but just listening to this is so beautiful, right? We just go into that Krishna's land.
Very true.
So I think every moment we think about Krishna, it is I don't know how to explain it, but it is purifying for sure, but it brings that bliss in us, right? So yeah. Actually, I wanted to tell one concept regarding what Sri Ramya ji was saying, that five fingers and we are being the five finger, but are we different from the hand or are we different from the body? So one representation that comes in my mind is, imagine the whole world to be like an aquarium. Okay, there is only water. There is no air or anything. If air is also present, it is part of water.
Mhm.
Everything is water. Now, in that water, um, everything exists. Trees, plants, everything, but they are existing in water. Now, if we, and it is a representation of water only. So if we take one plant, say, and we ask, are you different from anything else? So that duality we feel because we are taking, see, there is this finger is separate from other things, but it is already in water as water, right? So we should not there is only one element and we are within him, right? So we cannot be different from him. So that is what that anecdote is coming. I should tell. So that's why I thought I'll tell.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, it's a discussion which I don't know. I'm not even eligible to discuss this honestly. But I just I'm like trying to be a tota. Like what I have learned, I have just absorbed it, and for me, it's more like qualitatively, yes, we are same. But when it comes to quantity, in some sense, I would say it's like we are Anu Sat, Anuchit, Anu Anand, and God is Satchit Anand. They're like Vibhu. So, so I just see it that way, and I just feel that that concept of love and service attracts me so much. I think we all have different personalities as well, right? What attracts us, we should just try to chase that. So that way we are so blessed that we have an opportunity to learn how to follow that path and just move forward, right? So
For sure. And me too, Bhakti Yogi.
yeah, that's why we are blessed with all the tools to practice it. Naam Jap being very handy, yeah. So, okay, yeah, with that, I think should we close it?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Stop the recording.